Hello everyone, welcome to this second part where we have two more scripts that we need to adjust in order for them to run the Revit 2025. Now we have these cut architectural elements with structural elements basically. I did create that original script, then I did update that script for Revit 2023, and I did change just a couple of things. So what you need to do before everything else is to check if you have the most current version of those packages. So that is in order just to avoid having red nodes when you open the script. But actually we will replace this legacy package with basically same custom package but current version. So I did have a trouble running the script with this current version of the script, and also today Jimmy create a comment. The script creates those yellow solids, but he cannot click on them and they will not cut architectural elements. So if you did cross that first step where you just need to install packages, let's just try to run this existing script to see what kind of issues we have. Select linked elements. Let's say that we want to select those columns and this one beam. And I previously did select this wall over here. So those yellow solids that Jimmy mentioned are probably these yellow columns and grids. So the way how the script works is actually we will create, when we find intersection between those structural elements and our architectural elements, when we found that solid, we will create basically new family with that intercepted geometry, insert that in the model and trying to perform a cut. In order to do that, that new created family must be a void family. So that is like the logic how we are cutting volumes of architectural elements. Now those yellow things that Jimmy mentioned, and we can see it over here, those are just background previews. So if you want to turn off that, you can go to the view, background 3D preview, available previews, and just turn off this Revit background preview. So if you create like 1000 points and you want to track those points, if those points in the Revit are on the correct places, then this Revit background preview it's a good thing. But over here, as Jimmy mentioned, we are just confused what we are seeing for those yellow elements and why we cannot click on them, because that's just a preview of Dynamo geometry inside the Revit. So what the script version 2023 managed to do over here is to intercept just the portion of the solid for the beam, and nothing happened with the columns. So there is some issue with the columns. So if we now run the script for, let's say, this left column, run, and if we select this wall, you can see that nothing happened. And if you take a look at the output of this node, so we can see that this node which needs to create that void family, as a result have nulls. And now, unlike those regular, let's say, Python nodes that have, I don't know, 200, 300 lines of code, this node over here have 30 inputs and it have more than 2000 lines of code. So And I think that when I did copy paste in order to see what is the warning, I did receive like 7 or 8 different warnings. So instead of trying to fix some old node, like we did in the previous video for other scripts, so the idea is to find this custom package, to install the most current version of that package, and to use that current version. So at the end of July, regarding this package, as a most current version, we have this 24.7.301. So also if you if you also try to see what is the current version, okay, it seems that I do not have current version, but probably it's close. Oh, it's actually released today. Okay. And now when you search, so we don't want to use anymore this legacy. We want to use current package family. So like new version of this node, it's this node over here. And you will actually see that now this node is capable to cut elements, so we do not need anymore this right part of the script, and we just need to reconnect the geometry and void. We want to create void panel. So even more simplification in the script compared to very first version or original version. Okay, because we already ran, let's go undo. So at first you need to select the architectural element over here. Okay, let's just increase this for a moment. So over here we are selecting architectural element, and over here we are selecting those structural elements. So let's say that we want in one run to cut all those structural elements. Finish. So now it's working just for the column, but now it is not the problem with this node over here. This node created a family, it tried to cut, it did cut for the column, so it's not null anymore for this node, but actually where we have a problem, do we have preview? Supposed to have a preview, okay. So let's turn off the preview of the wall. And also we did select this geometry, but when you check what is that intersection between the wall and what we choose for the geometry, somehow this node, which is a native node, doesn't work. And of course we have intersection. We have intersection between the beam and columns. And we can maybe say the issue is with the reference point. But again, in the Dynamo itself, we have interception. So positioning is not a problem. So my proposal is to then we don't need this one. I think this will work. And in order for script to run faster, let's turn off the preview. And also let's say that we want to cut areas. So We have some interception between the structural and architectural elements. If we do not have, we will not run this script. And let's just say that we want to select structural elements, and we want that Dynamo try to cut whatever it can for architectural elements for the selected structural solids. So that is my idea over here. And let's see if that will work. Run. So now we are just selecting structural elements. Let's just get to the beginning of the script. Wait. So, okay. If not explicitly tell, this node will try to use some Revit 2020 family template. So the purpose of this video is to try to run the script for Revit 2025. So I did go to the file path for generic model family template, and let's now try to run the script. And hopefully it will use a proper family template. Okay, we don't want to use this legacy. Okay. Okay, for some reason I closed the Dynamo. Okay, so we want to cut the wall, and okay, let's select the structure elements. And okay, now finally we did cut for the columns and for the beam. So overall for this script we did simplify a little bit. We did avoid using this legacy custom package. We did use node from the new package, and that is pretty much it. Let's go to the final script. Okay, so when you run this original script, maybe first thing is to resize the nodes. Then we need to install Spring nodes, which we do not have. And we have formulas, like in the previous. And we have some node which will be removed in the future version of Dynamo. So it is a wise thing to use some other. And over here we also have a recommendation to use offset many. So okay, and this is unnecessary. So maybe this probably from the Spring. Interesting. So monocle does not recognize this as a custom package, but it is from the Spring nodes. Easy thing to change this document active view is to use two native Revit nodes. One is a current document. So those two nodes are native nodes. It does exist, I think, almost in almost all Revit version. And in order to reduce dependency of the custom packages, I strongly suggest that when you can use these native nodes. And now you can easily replace them. Over here we did have two situations. One part needs to work for grids and one part needs to work with walls. So I did resolve this issue with Formula. I will show you how. I did use the other node for this offset, and I did change this spring. And let's go. So I will not show each step in this case, but I will explain you. Okay, so when we did replace those nodes, we do not have spring as a requirement anymore. Let's see how I did fix that formula. So that formula used to say if we have some value over here for distance, if the value is 0, replace with some very huge number. If the value is not 0, then just use whatever we did have over here as a distance. So we have very small, basically, if node over here as a Python. And because we did have the same thing on two places, I have that also over here. So check if it's a 0 and replace it with some huge value. And if it's not a 0, use that existing distance. That's for the formula for this offset. So this is the new node that Dynamo recommended. It does not work with curve, it works with the polycurve. So why we are offsetting? So basically we have some curves over here. It can be some interior or exterior line of the wall or the grid itself. It's some line, and when we want to add dimension, let's say we want to use this grid line and to offset, and on that offset value to place our dimension. That is the meaning about the offset. So because Dynamo recommended that we use this instead of using curve, we need to switch from curve to polycurve. And then the node itself asks for a couple of things. What is the distance of offset? I need to put 1000 millimeters. I think by default it was like that. Is it circular? It's not. And what's the plane? Because we are doing XY plane, the normal vector is just a normal to that plane. And this will create the offset. And later, because I need line, then I need to go from polycurve to curve and from curve to line. You can do this in the last nodes, but let's just keep the same logic like we did have in the original script. Okay, and let's run the script. I didn't fix it completely. So we have dimensions. So this is the case when we want to create dimension center to center. And this does not make any sense for rectangular objects. So let's switch to round. Okay. So this was the idea. So give the dimension from the grid, for example, to the center of the element. And in order to create those dimensions, what you need to do, except creating those lines, is to give referenced elements as a pair. So if this dimension consists from this duct and this grid, you must form pairs where you will say to that node, okay, for this dimension, you need to put dimension between this element and this element. Grid is also the element. And previously, in order just to form those elements, I did have some complex logic. And now instead of everything which I just deleted, I did use transpose. So over here we did have some number of ducts and some number of grids. If you're using list transpose, you'll just pick the first duct and first grid, the second duct and second grid, and so on and so on. So I'm trying to keep the same logic, but over here, instead of solving something which is unnecessarily complex, we can just use one node, which is a native node and it does not depend on the custom packages. Now, in order to form the lines, we want to offset from the grid, so I did use this get item at index. Grid it's always at index 1. Then to switch from the grid to the line, basically, I did use this grid curve. And now, in order to offset again, we need to switch from the curve to the poly curve to offset for some value, and then to get back again from poly curve to curve to have that line. Let's just optimize a little bit. Okay, this is the case for grid. Let's now try to do the same for the walls. So duct walls, distance, okay. Again, duct and walls, and again, some strange logic for creating a pairs. Okay. And we did probably, okay, why we have one line? Okay, so this is not ideal way how to deal with lines, but that takes some time, and I did create at some moment some custom script. So determination of the lines and using the correct lines, it's a bit complex story. We do not have it right now, but again, this is a learning material and those scripts should work in your version of Revit, and from there you can play. So let's just check what I did change for this wall part. Everything remained the same over here. We did talk about this. We did transpose to form the pairs, but then in order to start dealing with those lines, I didn't do on the beginning where we didn't know which walls we want to use. Over here we know to which wall we want to create that dimension, so it's logical thing to use those walls, and from those walls to create offsetted lines. And then, okay, we did use those lines, and the offset is not correct and it's questionable. I know in Dynamo that we have also Z component, which is not great, and you can align this, but the point of the story is, okay, so it is a script from 4 years ago. If you just want to run it in the Revit 2025, it will not work. So with those adjustments, it will work, but it still have a long way to become fully functional script. But again, if you're really interested, find on my YouTube channel I did create a custom script for this dimension topic, which is far more complex and functional. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.